What's up, it's Naz, and hello everyone, welcome back to The Letter. Last episode, we had a few uninvited guests here at school, including Luke and the fucking ghosty. Now we've escaped back to our classroom. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've caught a few sharing anxious glances every time a pen slips from my hand or my shoulders tense whenever called. How unusual it must be for them to see the normally composed Miss Gales become a bundle of nerves. Even the most boisterous ones have given me less grief today. You'd think being on my fourth cup of tea would provide any sort of comfort. Or is it the fifth? Egad, what does counting even matter now? The fact that I can't easily shake it off this time should tell me something. The last time this happened, I passed it off as some lapse in my part after having been sick the week before.
And it is a natural conclusion.
But you saw it with your own eyes. Those are just stories, a centuries-old lore passed by the locals to keep children in line. What place doesn't have those? One of my dad's books even went as far to describe them as a strong part of Isabella's culture. Tree giants, women who feed from unborn children straight from the mother's womb, or hell, there's even one story about a demon baby. Yep, we have those in the Philippines. All folklore that never had a smudging of truth to it, most probably to scare off the natives back there in the old days. Much like every other one in every other place. The world is more universal than people care to think. But looking at it from where I'm standing now, after staring right into the eyes of that woman, after all the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there's really more to that bloody letter than some awful Halloween prank.
Perhaps Isabella's right all along.
She has been. A terrible thing if true. Though the thought doesn't linger long, thankfully. Soon the ringing of my mobile takes my attention away from it. An unfamiliar name flashes before me once the screen lights up and my brows knit together. Marion McCullough. Staring hard at the screen, I try to remember when I've entered this person on my contact list. It takes a moment, but when it clicks, my eye zeroes in on the book lying wide open on my table. Yep, it's when we found her in the library. Loaned out from the library almost a week ago. I met the woman there by sheer coincidence, a fellow history buff apparently. We were after the same book, but in the end she's given it to me, under the condition I call her once I'm done. To be honest, I've completely forgotten about it until now, and well, I haven't really taken a peek at it until today. Normally I'd be done with the whole volume of this size a few days after taking it out, about one or two depending on how busy I am. But finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than I anticipated. One moment I'm busy simply grading worksheets, attending a movie premiere the next, then someone suddenly inviting me out for one reason or another. Days later, a friend stops showing up at our flat, right after worrying reports pop up in the local news. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. I have been flipping through the pages of said book moments ago, though never really reading anything and merely hoping for a distraction. To no avail. My phone gives out another ring, and this time I do not hesitate to answer.
Marianne?
Marianne?
Hello. Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call. Is it?
No, not at all. I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon. Unless something comes up.
Are you inviting us for a date?
Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
Oh, pray tell, Marianne.
Oh, sure. What about?
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
It's a peculiar question to ask someone you've just met, but I answer nevertheless. I'm more curious where she's heading with this by starting with that.
Born and raised. Third-generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah? But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want, I can contact him for you.
No. Let's just keep this thing between us, okay? It's nothing too big. Alright. I really don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy. But things have been really, odd.
How serendipitous.
Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we met? My current project?
In hindsight, I should have expected it'll lead to this. She must have not lived here long if she's asking about this now. It didn't take a week with Isabel when she arrived, but that's Isabella, superstitious down to the last hair. Though it won't be too far off to think Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on the damn house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious now, despite living here for so many years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde Mansion, yes?
The oh my god mansion.
Yes, that one. And, the thing is... The thing is...
You have a specter haunting you.
Oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this.
It must have been the sunny weather. It's making me sick and see stupid things. See things.
No, wait. It's alright. I don't mind.
There's a moment's pause before she responds again. She's right in that. This is a silly thing to talk about, especially between what I assume two people who are pretty grounded on their beliefs with regards to these things. I won't blame her if she hesitates.
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
Well, alright. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
My lips will be sealed.
Are we finally going to learn of the lore of that mansion?
Now, what is it about the mansion?
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place's past. What happened to the owners? Anything you can give me.
Let's see. To start off,
I do my best to give her a concise summary, from the time the house was commissioned 400 years ago and who had built it. Up to the point it got deserted after the last heir's death, and the deed was passed on to the Ermengarde's nearest relatives. Frankly, if it weren't for those urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity long ago. Demolished even. These are all nothing she probably hasn't heard of before, yet there's dissatisfaction in her tone once I finish.
That's all there really is to it?
No hauntings, no murders, no missing kids.
as far as I know, there's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death, but most of those are just theories.
Little bit, don't you think that's a huge deal?
Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years. Should there be anything more?
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories?
Urban legends?
Or a letter of some sort?
My blood runs cold. Any warmth and comfort the tree I've drank has given me prior has instantly drained from me. The phone creaks softly as my light hold on it turns into a firm grip. This whole letter bullshit is starting to turn into more than a coincidence.
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
Oh, no. It was just something I came across. Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know?
Random thoughts, you know?
By the way, I need to run. Thanks for answering my questions.
Oh god. She ends the call abruptly with only a clipped goodbye, leaving my mind heavy with even more thoughts. The mood around my classroom has gone considerably denser, in light of what little I've gleaned from that conversation. I don't think Marianne's lying about her intent. Her interest is genuine, I'd give her that, but she's left a lot of things out. I get the sense she's only asked because something's happening around her too, and if she hadn't mentioned the letter, I probably wouldn't have made the connection.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in this. All of these are just assumptions. No concrete conclusion can be formed with what we have, and if we want to find out what we're really dealing with, I think we'll need Ash, Zach, and Isabella on our side. I think Marianne's right. There might be something more to those stories. As absurd as it sounds, the very place that gave us that letter might tell us something beyond what we know. And tomorrow night I have a few hours of that chance at the housewarming party. Oh, okay. Totally not an exciting thought since the place is privately owned now. I can't just wander around. But it's enough reason to keep the dread at bay as I step out of the room ready to put an end to this day. However, all those good vibes disappear into thin air when I run headfirst into Luke. Hello, you bastard. There's really something in this man. Regardless of how much my opinion of him has changed over the span of a few hours, he simply blasts through every good impression people have of him, without care or thought. He doesn't even need to open his mouth, his mere presence does it. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love.
You're still here?
Obviously. Who do you think's standing in front of you?
Some asshole that didn't save us from the ghost.
An ass.
Oh, come on, Daisy, you've done better than that. Losing your touch?
We have a wider vocabulary.
Luke, I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Belatedly, I notice his hand. Partly raised, almost poised for a knock. At a slight lift of an eyebrow, he quickly drops it to his side and turns to Kylie. She's standing a few steps away from him, holding her hands behind her back and towing at something on the floor with the tip of her toe. Then he proceeds to make vague gestures at me and the child. He resembles a fish flopping for air with the way he's moving his arms, though I think he's trying to urge her to speak up.
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
You do it, Tio.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tia what you told me the other day. And this morning.
What is it? Luke exhales, rolling his eyes at the ceiling and maybe praying for the universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, huh? Once his frustration has been promptly let out, he points a rude finger at me. I do my best to stare the offending digit down, but I can already hear the demand before it's even out of his lips.
You, come with us.
What are you gonna do?
What makes you think I will?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault. I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
Something tells me I don't want to go with the creepy girl and her creepy imaginary friend.
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite? I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me. I kind of miss my couch.
Daisy, you just say yes.
A pause follows, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, his face twists into something between a grimace and a smile. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. You'd think the man is getting an aneurysm by simply being polite.
Please?
Tia said it'll be his treat.
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin. I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
I promise we'll be quiet the next time I visit.
Oh, alright, but just one meal and make it the cheapest.
He and Ashton will get along famously in that department. On a different front, the offer of free dinner does sound enticing, however half-heartedly given it is. Mostly because Kylie has wisely put on her puppy eyes, and by the second I find all my choices slipping away from me.
See, Miss Pink? It'll be fun.
I don't want to die in your hands.
You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
Oh, well,
My mobile buzzes from my pocket, cutting me mid-sentence, and for a second I'm spared from the act of giving an answer I'll regret either way. Fishing the gadget out, I wave a hand at him and excuse myself. A disgruntled expression is on Luke's face before I turn away. I'd be lying if I say it didn't amuse me. He's as eager to be done with this as I am, but what can I do? Checking, a message from Ashton shows up. Oh, hey Becca, I'll be around Samuel this evening. Need to meet someone in the area. I might have to drop by yours and Isabel's place after. See ya. Oh, just the usual. Unlike what he does to Zachary, Ashton has the decency to let us know when he's dropping by or when he's in the area for some business. From the way it's phrased, it sounds to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he's at least aware of that boundary. Not that Isabel's ever going to let him leave the building unscathed if he ever pulls the same stunt he does with the other man. I cringe to imagine what she'll do to him. Sighing, I slip my gadget back to my pocket. But looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, I now face a different dilemma. The two of them are still waiting, and knowing the kind of person Luke is, there's already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him. All to please his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's really fond of Kylie from his actions alone. I kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
Well, now we have a choice. On the other hand, there's Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply he's going to wait or he's expecting me to be there, but there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming party matters. With inviting Isabel out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. Although the former has already made it clear he'll be busy this week, and well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even if he detests attending gatherings like this, it's company that counts, we can be miserable together. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them, and it's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If by some miracle he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that. Still, however, we do know that Ashton does go to the party with Rose, and he did look like he was investigating something. Tough choice, but I have to pick one. I have other things to do. Okay, but only because Kylie asked. Yeah, we have other things to do. Though when you look closely at it, it isn't much of a difficult decision to make. First and foremost, no matter where I look at this, it is inappropriate to some degree. Disregarding Luke's honest intentions, I've only known the man for a grand total of 2 days, including today. If I'm going to be thoroughly specific, I'll give it to a grand total of around 10 hours. By all means, that's not enough reason for me to join them for dinner, even if he says Kylie's the one who requested it. To other people, it won't appear as innocent as he makes it out to be. If there's one ugly thing about this city, it's this place's penchant for inane gossip. One little spark, it'll spread like wildfire. Who knows how far it'll go, how many ears it'll reach. What if Ashton hears about it? I'd rather not think about the consequences to that. I've got enough on my plate lately as it is. Being at the center of a rumor mill along with this man, in whatever form it takes, sends unpleasant chills down my spine. My answer must have already shown in my face as Kylie's smile immediately dissolves into a pout.
You're not gonna join us, are you?
Maybe next time.
I'm sorry, Kylie.
If we're still
I'd
alive.
love to, but I have other things to do. Another time, maybe? A friend just texted me about something urgent, and he wants to meet tonight.
Just say it's a date, Daisy. A little rugrat will understand. She's not an infant. No need for blatant lies.
Well, it's not a date. Heat instantly crawls up my face at his baseless insinuations. Oh, what I would give for another chance to put a real dent on a skull.
What even gave you that idea? And even if it is, why do you care? Stop sticking your nose in other people's affairs.
Oh, your face says it all, woman. You think I won't recognize those longing looks?
There isn't a look, There isn't a look, alright?
Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night, Daisy.
At least Luke's more understanding.
You already have a story written inside that head of yours, don't you?
Oh, please. It's not that interesting. The color of your face does suit you, though. Matches the hair. Well, come on now, Munchkin. I'll just buy you an extra glass of that parfait.
With extra strawberries?
I'll get you a basket full if you want. As long as you behave. And no complaints if they don't have enough syrup again. Deal?
Deal. Have fun with your date, Miss Pink.
Luke's already leading the child away before I can correct her. Upon reaching the end of the hall, however, he doesn't miss a chance to shoot me another one of those infuriating winks. Does he really think women enjoy those? I'd sue him for harassment if I can. Though I must admit the two of them walking together hand in hand is an endearing sight in itself. It's something to mull over, along with every other confusing and infuriating thing about this guy. Some other time, though. Ashton's waiting. His car headlights have been left turned on, illuminating the otherwise empty parking lot. If it's like that, this is probably going to be a quick visit. Although our landlady would have probably had a few hundred words to say about this before letting it go. Not many in this complex own a vehicle anyway to warrant the space's frequent use, owing to this area's proximity to downtown Luxborn. No one's going to be disturbed if one car stays parked with its lights on for a few minutes. Right now, though, it serves as a pleasant company while I idle inside my own car, thumbing the invitation's fine print, flipping it over and over until the motions become familiar enough. What should I say? How should I say it? There's a very high chance he'll say no, but on the off chance he accepts, what should I do? Fears. Doubts. Questions I haven't asked before, and more often than not, the anxiety is because of him. 17 years ago, I've been in the same position, a different letter in hand. Somehow, nothing has changed. Perhaps if he'd noticed how I've always felt about him years ago, I wouldn't be in this predicament. Honestly, he managed to ace all those exams at school without even lifting a finger, and he couldn't figure this out? Yeah, because he's fucking dense.
How dense can he get?
Oh, as dense as the writers write him to be. But I can't very well wait another 2 decades just for something as measly as an invitation, can I? It's not like it's going to be a date. Although frankly I wouldn't mind if it is. However, that's a wish best reserved for another time. I won't get anywhere if I just keep thinking about what ifs. Gathering all my thoughts and courage, I step out of my car and gingerly make my way upstairs, invitation in hand. Ever since the incident 3 days ago, there's a strange air permeating the atmosphere here. Weighted, but the sort that slowly trickles through you, until the burden of it finally bogs you down with some kind of disquiet. The days since have been uneasy, and Isabel's absence from her flat does not help to settle it. Every day coming home feels somewhat like an uphill battle in itself, leaving you spent when you're supposed to be getting rest. Is Zachary experiencing the same thing? I certainly am. The same weary slump is also on Ashton's shoulders once I catch a glimpse of him. He's leaning casually on the rails, his back against its metal surface, while reading through a bunch of papers. Each one appears more important than the other, despite me having never read a letter of it. He'll probably head back to the precinct after this if he's not going to drop by Zachary's for a bit of shut-eye. No rest for the wicked. But no matter how occupied he seems, he pauses away and looks up from his work the moment he hears my treads. He raises a hand in greeting as a small smile spreads across his lips. Exhausted as I am, I can't help but return it to him.
What brought you here?
He hums something inaudible, neither an answer nor even a vague hint, before he turns his attention back to the papers. For a passing second, I thought he'd ignore or evade the question, like every single time I've asked. But then he shuffles the documents back to the binder and sets it aside with a huff. It sounds more fatigued than I've ever heard from him recently. Either there's simply too many things keeping him busy at once, or his investigation isn't going too well. Maybe even both.
Just work.
Just work? Do you expect me to believe that?
In a way. I didn't think an important contact ditched me and now I'm stuck would make for a cool alibi. Did it work?
As if there's going to be any difference. You're still a dafty. Anyway, do you want to come in?
Yes, come in, Ash.
But if you're going to hang around for a bit, you better turn those headlights off. My landlady's one hairline away from banning you off this place, you know? Stop taking the piss out of her. She's a nice woman.
When she stops taking the piss out of Shirley, maybe I will.
Maybe once you stop calling your car a stupid name.
You and your bloody car.
The first time I've heard that name, I did a double take. From the way he put it, it was as if he was talking about some woman he met somewhere, surprisingly got along with and grown fond of. Never mind how impossible that is, knowing his lack of interest for people outside our small circle. Honestly, it sent a surge of panic in me. It lasted for days, until he proudly introduced me to his new car. You thought his car was a girl? His car.
Hey, it's a nice name. Don't laugh at it. You'll hurt her feelings.
It'll hurt her feelings, you cringy edgelord fuck.
I'm gonna have to give that offer a pass, though.
Nothing unexpected, but admittedly, I'm hoping he'll stay for a few minutes. Suddenly, asking him to accompany me to the housewarming party is starting to turn into a bad idea. If he can't even be bothered to spare a second of his time for his friends, what more if he has to stand some hours in a room full of strangers?
I need to get going. I just dropped in to check on something and...
His words trail off, cut mid-sentence on purpose, leaving it to me to comprehend the rest of it. At the same time, his eyes shift, momentarily towards the door closest to us. Isabel's unit. Eerily quiet now in her absence. The instant his lips curve into a small frown and his shoulders tense, I know work is far from his reasons for being here. Being all too aware of that idea alone summons a dull ache straight to my chest. Like every time, every single moment he affords her the attention he can never seem to spare others. While it is a worry better left for a different situation, it twinges the heart nevertheless.
Is there a problem?
Nothing of note. Abigail just wanted to ask her a few things. It's related to that incident with Cooper. You heard the one.
Hold on. She isn't in trouble, is she?
Oh, we've been in trouble the whole game.
No, I don't think so. Not as far as I know. And do you really think Scaredy Cat can do anything like that? It's just an off-the-record thing, okay? Abigail wanted to confirm something. She knows I'm friends with someone working at BRC, so she asked me. Apparently she isn't getting anything from that company, as long as the red tape's in the way. It's nothing urgent, though. She isn't answering her phone again, so I thought I'd check myself. I can wait until she gets home.
If she comes home soon. The last time I saw her was 2 nights ago.
His demeanor immediately changes. Despite his careful attempt to appear nonchalant, his eyes scream of unspoken worry. It's almost painful to see how much he tries to hide it, especially in front of someone he has known for years.
What? Did she take a vacation or something?
No word from her, unfortunately. And I don't think she'll go on a trip without telling us. It's been 2 days. 3 if she's not going to show up tomorrow either. Do you think we might have to file a missing person report?
I hope not. But let me know if anything happens. You know how to contact me.
Isabel's disappeared and we have no idea where she is. Something tells me she's gonna appear at the very last part of the game and show up with the solution to everything.
I'll see you later, Becca.
Ashton squeezes my shoulder light as he can before stepping away and heading straight for the stairs. His way of comfort in the middle of this little mess we've found ourselves in. But amidst all of this, a tiny voice at the back of my mind nudges at a memory. Something I've forgotten and the very reason why I've chosen to return home early. He's made it 4 steps down when realization kicks in and awareness of the envelope I've been holding returns to me. Panic rears before proper words can form or I can think about the situation. Not a second sooner, I'm calling after him.
Ashton, wait!
He halts, 1 foot already down another step when he turns to me, raising an eyebrow in question.
Yeah?
And of all times, it is in this moment when I falter. The adrenaline from earlier's panic suddenly recedes. All of a sudden, none of the things I'm prepared to say will take form, and I'm caught between simply forgetting about this or just blurting it out to him while hoping for the best. Tomorrow afternoon, do you have time? Forget about it. There's nothing wrong with trying, I suppose. I'm not going to lose anything if he says no. Which frankly has a very high chance of happening than the opposite, though the thought still doesn't prevent heat from crawling up my face and send my heart racing. It's better to get this over with before my throat closes up and I lose my nerve.
Tomorrow afternoon. Do you have time?
A small frown is already on his face. I already see where this is going and what he's thinking from that alone. Yet for some mullish reason I continue, hanging on to that tiny glimmer of hope he'll say yes if I present an argument good enough for him.
That depends. Why?
Well, you see, someone sent an invite for a housewarming party, and I thought you might want to...
Rebecca, I'd rather stand on the messy end of a gunshot. You know that.
I know, it's just... You're one of the few people I can count on with things like this.
Come on, Rebecca, you could do it.
That's cool, I appreciate the thought. But really, Zach's a better companion. Gatherings like that just aren't my cup of tea.
You dense motherfucker.
It did cross my mind, you know. If he isn't busy with his freelance work, I'd probably ask him too. Actually, you two would have been spared if Isabella was here, but...
Why not just skip out on it? The world's not going to end if one guest doesn't show up.
Trust me, I'd love to. But I promised Mom I'll be there.
Still can't say no, huh?
Like you're any better. Besides, the person who sent this is an old friend of Mom and Dad. If it's important to them, why not? Though, who would have thought, huh? The famous Evans heir used to be tutored by my parents. Apparently, we also met before.
Do you get it now, you fuck?
Wait, who?
Yep.
Evans. Hannah Evans. Well, she's already married. She goes by Hannah Wright now. Remember the couple who bought the mansion Isabella's selling?
The same people?
As far as I know. Unless I misread their address, or there's another Hannah Wright in this city that we don't know about.
Let me see that.
Now you're interested. Without waiting, he walks closer and takes the invitation off my hands, gently but with the same force of urgency in his voice. I don't know what he finds in it, but his eyebrows draw closer as his eyes scan through the little lines of text printed on the small piece of paper. His hold in the envelope tightens with each pass, and by the time he's finished reading, his mouth is formed into a thin line.
You never mentioned this.
We met just once. Or at least, that's what Mum told me. Honestly, I can't recall anything from it. Otherwise, I would have told you about it.
He hums something inaudible under his breath, all while thumbing the paper, staring at it as if doing so will proffer him answers to every unspoken question in his head. When he gleans nothing from it, he merely folds the envelope back to its form.
Alright, I'll go with you.
There we go.
What?
I'll go with you. That shouldn't be a problem, right? Unless you've already made up your mind about asking Z-Man.
No, I told you already the guy's busy. Why would I bother him for this when I can go alone? But what about your own work and...
Oh, this is work.
I can make time for this. 3 o'clock, yeah? I'll pick you up an hour or so before.
My head reels, less from what this implies, more from how easy all this seems for him, how fast this turnaround is. He's already halfway down the stairs when any semblance of sense returns to me, and I can finally string 2 words of protest together. Yet all of it dies on my tongue at the smile he shoots at me. He disappears from view seconds later. His footsteps gradually fading as he descends the stairwell, until all I can hear are my own shallow breaths and heartbeat, loud pounding hard against my chest. It is only after I'm standing alone in my room minutes later that it sinks in. He has taken the invitation with him, but besides that, more than that, he has also accepted mine. Calling this happiness is a complete understatement. For now, looming thoughts of the mansion and that woman lay silent at the back of my head. Well. Now we know how Rebecca convinced Ash to go to a big party. And something tells me next episode we'll be having a bit of investigation going on during the party. But until then, my name is Nez and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of The Letter, like and subscribe so we could grow our channel together. See you all next time. Bye everyone!